The local government elections have come and gone, and with less than 50% of the vote, the ANC is feeling the sting of rejection. So what does the future hold for a party that no longer sets hearts on fire?
The classic example of an ANC stronghold, like a place like Soweto in the city of Johannesburg, turnout was 41%. So it just implies that a huge amount of former ANC voters didn't go vote in this election.
𝗀𝗵𝗀 is an independent elections analyst who developed a statistical model to crunch the numbers.
In 2011, the ANC won 86% in Soweto, 86. This year, they won 53% in Soweto. So not only did most voters stay away, but of those voters that did go vote, the ANC suffered massive losses in its core support base. Huge surprise.
The romance between the ANC and their supporters has been the stuff of fairy tales. And despite their ups and downs over the years, nothing could come between the party and the people. For better or worse, voters repeatedly gave them another chance because they had said, "I do." So what could be the reason for this big breakup? Long before the 2016 elections, the red flags were billowing. The firing of Finance Minister 𝗀𝗀𝗃𝗃 that sent markets plummeting, the Public Protector State of Capture report into corruption, the Constitutional Court ruling on 𝗀𝗃𝗃𝗃 that found President Zuma had violated his oath of office. The promise had been broken.
The red flags are there, but I choose not to see them because here is my hero.
Now we know it's a little crazy, but who better to give advice about a relationship on the rocks than a relationship expert like Dr. Eve?
And then it's, well, actually you're not offering me those basic things that I really need, the safety and the security. And then you begin to question, and then conflict begins to happen. We begin to feel unseen and unheard, where there isn't any sense of attachment and intimacy that exists any longer. And the moment that we bring in a third person, Bongani, wow, that's when things really become different. It's like, I didn't know that I couldn't trust you with money. I didn't know that I couldn't trust you with familiarity, you know, with you're bringing in new people, you're bringing in a new family.
With the release of the Gupta leaks, the ANC suffered a major dent in its credibility. The media broke story after story of the extent of the Gupta family's looting of state coffers.
Jacob Zuma disfigured the ANC in a way and made it his own ANC into a neo-patrimonial party where state power is used for personal interests.
And this trend has trickled down, according to Professor 𝗀𝗶𝗀𝗃𝗃𝗃, a political scientist at the University of Johannesburg.
Local government has been deteriorating. In fact, if you look at the Auditor General's report, they are saying they are worse now than they were in 2016. Added to that are testimonies at the Zondo Commission.
For 3 years, the Zondo Commission of Inquiry into State Capture heard witness after witness exposing the depth and breadth of corruption, how almost every state-owned enterprise was deliberately hollowed out and rendered ineffective so that it could be looted. It's estimated that over 500 billion rand was stolen from South Africa during the Zuma years. It was only when reports and rumors of corruption were confirmed by witnesses at the commission and in the courts that voters could no longer look away. This was the big letdown, the breach of trust, the unforgivable infidelity.
There has to be commitment, really important. Commitment means reliability and predictability. There has to be trust, and there has to be respect and honesty. And if you don't have those four, you're not going to stay in love. That table of four loses a leg of commitment, of trust, of respect, of passion, and the relationship's going to fall away.
Making things even more difficult was the COVID-19 pandemic. The cycle of hard lockdowns meant the loss of thousands of jobs and the misery of being forced to stay at home by the police and the army. But then, to add insult to injury, came news of 13 billion rand in PPE tender fraud. On top of that, the digital vibes saga involving then Minister of Health 𝗀𝗵𝗀𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃 and his family.
I mean, theft of money for people who are dying. I mean, who steals money intended for people that are dying? So those, disgusting acts like that have kind of, they've created a bit of doubt over whether or not the president has authority to enforce what he preaches.
It's a party that has really lost its way and appears broken beyond redemption. They are going to have to work extremely hard to recover lost ground, to rehabilitate the broken trust with people.
𝗀𝗫𝗃𝗀𝗃 is an associate professor in public law at UCT.
What matters is stable government. That's what the country needs. It's what residents of cities need.
In July came the big blow-up. When Jacob Zuma was convicted and sent to prison for contempt of court, his supporters rioted. Violence and looting engulfed KwaZulu-Natal and parts of Gauteng, leaving 337 people dead and hundreds of farms and businesses destroyed. The police seemed unable or unwilling to intervene.
It can be very clear now that burning down 1.5 provinces is not a good election campaign strategy. It happened on the ANC's watch at both national and provincial level. And so therefore, inevitably, the public was bound to kick back against that.
The numbers in KZN are truly shocking for the ANC. They lost like upwards of 15 to 20% of their vote in their core areas in KZN, which is just unheard of. Like many people stayed away.
In fact, in KZN, that Zuma factor, ANC turning against each other, inciting civil unrest, has disfigured the image of the ANC amongst the locals. That is why the IFP, the old conservative, orderly folks, because KZN politics, because of the saliency of ethnic values, of ethnicity, so conservativeness, respect for the law, and order are key things.
They've got a KZN problem, and within that, of course, they've got a Zuma problem. And the failure of the ANC to tackle Jacob Zuma and his determination of him and his followers to destabilize the ANC, destabilize the country and its economy, has really cost the ANC as well as the country dearly.
Voters have realized that this is what these folks have become. It's not a mistake. They're not coming back.
The ANC doesn't bring us flowers anymore.
Memories have faded, romance has gone out, so voters are like, what have you done for me lately?
The 1st of November wasn't just election day. This was the day of the big breakup, when ANC supporters ghosted the party. And they didn't make a scene, they simply walked away.
The real story here was ANC voters saying, we're tired of you, you've messed us around, you've lied to us, you cheated on us, but we don't yet trust the others enough to move to them.
Only 3 out of 10 eligible voters actually voted. With no clear majority in 66 hung councils around the country, parties will be forced to work together.
You really don't want to get into bed with someone who is going to treat you badly and who is going to put it very bluntly, screw you. You need to be in bed with somebody who you can form a stable relationship with, and you can develop your own brand, build respect with the electorate, regardless of the other party.
The ANC may have lost its appeal, but so it seems did the DA. The voters showed more interest in the smaller parties, and one of the big winners of the election in Gauteng is newcomer Action SA, led by the former mayor of Johannesburg, 𝗶𝗵𝗶𝘀.
They got 20% of the vote in Soweto. That's enormous. And I was just doing the analysis this morning. They also happened to get 20% in Sandton. So I think it's the first time ever there's a party that does relatively well in both Sandton and Soweto. And someone tweeted at me, that's the first time ever Sandton and Soweto has agreed on something.
Cyril Ramaphosa might be more popular than his party, but can the ANC win back lost lovers in time for the general election in 2024?
That's not a foregone conclusion anymore. The ANC is beatable. That is very clear now.
In response, the ANC says it's heard the voters loud and clear and promises to act with urgency to improve its performance.
They'll have to work hard and they'll have to be patient as well because there's a lot that is bad which they have done that has killed that romance, killed trust. So they have to sleep out in the couch for quite some time, out in the cold, repeatedly behave well to earn back that trust. So it might take a while.